Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. This is Dave Williamson, host of the Meet Dave podcast. Sorry I left you for a couple weeks there, but it was for good reason. I've been doing some really cool stuff. Number one was I went to the first annual Rub and Tug Invitational down in Key West, Florida, raised a lot of money for charity, and we also had a lot of fun. Really good results for your boy. My buddy Jody from Rec Tech, my boy Roy from the Dan Le Batard Show were my teammates, along with my son Owen, and we did well. Luis, we did well, dude. We finished in 3 out of 4 of the categories. We ended up second place.
Damn.
Right? Okay. Overall. And was just really proud to be down there and be a part of it. And had a lot of fun. We're going to talk about it this episode, so I won't get everyone down. Got a lot of dates coming up next couple months, guys. I'm going to be doing a tour through South Florida with my buddy Forrest Shaw. He's a co-host of my other podcast, The Mermen. We're going to do some shows speaking of Key West, we're going to be in Key West. We're going to be in Miami. We're going to be up at Fort Lauderdale. And then I'm going to be in Boise, Idaho coming up. I'm going to be in Vegas. Go to davewilliamson.com. Check out all my tour schedule. I know I got more dates. I'm not thinking of. Oh, Tracy, California. It's up north somewhere in California. So come out, see me on the road. And I think that's all I got for you right now. Excited to jump into this episode. You're going to love this dude at Blazing Star BBQ. Please get to know my buddy, Mike Starr. Well, this is our first episode back after a short hiatus. And definitely the first episode back, and since I did something very cool, which is going to Key West, Florida, being a part of something called the first annual Rub and Tug Invitational. It's not what you think, Luis. Relax.
I don't know. I got some questions already.
Which was a huge barbecue celebration for charity, raising money for pediatric cancer research. And the first day was a fishing tournament. The second day was a lobster day. And the third day was a cooking competition. And I got to hang out with my boy Mike, who's with us now, Blazing Star BBQ. Was that one of the coolest things you've ever done?
Oh, yeah. Absolute blast. I mean, I've been a part of a lot of crazy barbecue events, but that tops it. No two ways about it. I mean, I think it was a bucket list event. And then you throw in everything you just mentioned on top of the people that were there, and it just equals epic, legendary, you name it. The words, the adjectives just keep rolling.
Probably the first barbecue event you've been to where there was a belly flop contest, right?
That is a fact. Very first.
And it's pretty popular opinion, Luis, that I got robbed at this belly flop contest.
I agree. I had firsthand view, where my stage was set up and where it was at. And I must say you killed it. Not only did you do a phenomenal belly flop, but everything else, the attire, just took it over the top.
Well, yeah, I rubbed W sauce on my body.
Of course you did.
See,
I
didn't know they were going to do a second round. So I thought it was going to be one round. So I went and threw my USA Bald Eagle Speedo on. Uh-huh. And then, it's about the pageantry too. It's not just the splash itself, So
right. Exactly.
I walk out and then I rip my shorts off and my shirt off and I'm wearing the Speedo and I did a big flop and was like, all right, well, I just won. And then they go, all right, the finals. And they called me and I go, how am I going to talk? I already let the cat out the bag.
Right. You blew your load too early at the Rub and Tug.
That's it. So then I grabbed
that's what you do at the Rub and Tug.
Yeah, you got to go for it, why hold anything back? So then on the second round, the finals, there was a bottle of W sauce there, which was the main sponsor, one of the main sponsors. And so I grabbed it and I rubbed it all over my body, and then I jumped in the pool. We probably didn't get our security deposit back because of that, but I'm
sure the pool cleaner was happy about the W sauce.
I'm sure there was plenty of W sauce in that pool anyways. All those big boys, those big barbecue boys there. I'm sure there was all kinds of grease and bones and all kinds of barbecue remnants in there. So one of the
thank God for those pools.
Yeah, one of the things that really set it apart though was really cool, and I thought was very ambitious by them, was not only did they send all of us out with boat captains to go fishing and go lobstering or whatever, but then they set up a party for us on a sandbar in the middle of nowhere, beautiful scenery, water the color of my tank top right now. And they just had all these big green eggs set up in ankle high water with tents and tables. And then the tide was coming up and our stuff started floating away, but we're still out there cooking and drinking beers and feeding people that had come over to party. That was one of the coolest things. Because I've spent I'm from Miami. I've spent a lot of time on boats. I've never done anything like that.
Yeah, it was definitely a wildest experience. You know, I'm sure just like you, when you first heard about it from Burton, about the plans of what was going to go down, you're like, okay, this sounds really cool. But then when you actually get there, you're pulling up on a boat, you know, you get there, the scene is set. You've got pontoon boats with slides off of them. Like you said, canopy set up, the big green egg grill set up, and we're just out there partying on a sandbar out in the middle of nowhere. As one of the guys said, we were closer to Cuba than we were Walmart. Yeah. So it was pretty wild.
That's the truth, man. And then I want to bring up my favorite moment, and then I want to get into you a little bit. I will say, when I told you this, my favorite moment of the whole weekend was when we were out lobstering. So the boat captain that was taking my crew out, Luis, and the boat captain that took Mike's crew out, they were kind of staying together, right? Like we were kind of sharing the same spots, you know, because they were buddies. And, lobstering is hard. If you've never been before, like in the United States, you have to use a net and you have to like trick them into getting into the net. Like, like it's like a flea circus. You're like, hey, and we're in the Bahamas. You could just blast them with a spear.
Right.
So when the current's rocking and when you're in like 8 or 9 feet of water, and so it's like you're up and down, your ears are popping, and it gets a little hard, and the lobsters get spooked really easily, right? So now me and my son are the only ones on both boats that have ever been lobstering before. So we're trying to like kind of help everybody out and make sure everything's, we're not all spooking away all the lobsters and whatever. And it was hard because since the current was rough and it was opening day and it was kind of hard to even find lobsters, but we were finding them. So at one point, Mike, he didn't even have fins, right? Because they didn't have enough gear for everybody. He's just out there with literally like a generic Walmart mask and snorkel. And he was out there trying, man. He wanted one. And he goes, at one point, he was like, Dave, help me get one. I'm like, I got you, bro. I go, right now I'm having a hard time even getting them myself, but I'm like, we're going to do this. We're going to so as the day was getting towards the end, we finally were in this space that was a really beautiful spot, wasn't very deep. So if you don't have fins, you could actually get down there. And I'm like, oh, this would be a perfect spot for me to make sure these guys get one and see what it feels like to catch a lobster or whatever. And so I catch a lobster and it's too short, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just put it over here away from that deep rock. I'm going to put it over by this shallow rock, and I'm going to have Mike come over and he can catch this lobster, right? And I'm looking up and I'm looking for him, and I just hear, I got one! Woo! I got one! And I look over. This dude, he got tired of waiting for me. He went over, and not only did he catch one, he got the biggest one we caught all day, sitting there, standing on the bottom because it was shallow enough, and without his fins on, net up in the air, just woo! Like he had just won the Super Bowl, dude. I was grinning ear to ear. Bro, I was like, that's awesome. Yeah, after all day struggling, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I go fishing a lot, and I haven't been fishing in a couple of years, obviously living out in Nevada, but I used to go deep sea fishing all the time down in SoCal, San Diego area, Oceanside, all kinds of places doing private charters. So I've done a lot of fishing, and I love fishing. I got blanked on the fishing day, and then here comes lobster day. I don't want to get blanked on this lobster day.
Yeah.
But I was determined, like I said, when I came up to you and I was like, bro, you need to help me get one of these bad boys, And that feeling when you were talking to me and you were helping me and you were trying to get me on this one, I popped up one time and I heard Al say, there's a huge one over here. And I beelined over there.
Love it.
And as soon as I got there, Al was like, he was already down. I looked down and then he came back up, and I came back up and he goes like this. And I went back down. He swiped him out with a tickler, and I just pounced on that bad boy. And it was, the adrenaline was probably I haven't felt adrenaline like that probably since I was like a kid or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it was phenomenal.
It's exciting, man. And you know why? Because they're delicious.
Yeah, they are freaking delicious. And there's nothing better than catching one and then going to a sandbar and
Immediately
cooking it right there.
Yeah, doesn't get much fresher than that, man. That's pretty cool.
Nah, it doesn't.
That's great, man. Well, that was fun to witness and to be a part of. And so now you're in Pahrump is where you live, right?
That's correct. About 50 miles west of Vegas. I finished up in the military out there, and we wanted to get out of the city, but we liked the area, so we moved out to this little small, growing community.
Yeah,
mostly known for meth and brothels, but trying to make it known for barbecue now.
Yeah, isn't that where Lamar Odom almost died? Was up in Pahrump?
Yeah, that's correct.
Let's say that like, welcome to Pahrump. Lamar Odom almost died here.
Right.
Yeah, I did a gig at one of the casinos there, man. And I went to go play golf during the day, and I'm driving out, and the golf course was like abandoned. I was like, they need to update their Google page or whatever, because there's like just a field now. But then I found a very nice golf course.
There's one, Mountain Falls there.
Yeah, I played a really nice course there. Well, that's cool, man. Well, when I come through Vegas in December, I'm going to be headlining the Brad Garrett's Comedy Club and the MGM Grand. I want to say December 4th to 10th. Very cool club. I'll invite you out. Come hang out.
Yeah, man.
And then maybe I'll come out and check out your barbecue setup. Maybe we'll do a little cooking, a little content.
Yeah, let's do a little collaboration.
So then how did the barbecue stuff come about? You're a veteran. You were living out in the desert. And when did barbecue come into play?
Well, I kind of always been barbecuing, but it's just, I'm a backyard guy cooking. I was the guy always cooking on the grill in the military, whether it be in base housing or squadron party and stuff. And I've been experimenting probably for 20 some years with my own sauces and seasonings, but never had any vision of starting a company or doing anything past it. We talked about restaurants. I had an Asian market. Me and my wife had an Asian market for a while. And I did a lot of Asian barbecue, during that stint, but nothing, really serious. And we helped. It was right before COVID in 2020. We had helped several friends in Vegas open like 4 or 5 restaurants, but they were all Filipino, Vietnamese. And I would do like websites for them, security cameras, social media, stuff like that. I would get all that stuff set up for them. But that was it. Well, they reached out to me again, probably January, early February timeframe. They had another restaurant in Vegas that they were setting up. I was like, okay, cool. I'll come down and see what you need. So I go down there, get there, and turned out it was a barbecue restaurant. I was like, barbecue? Is this like Filipino barbecue, Vietnamese, whatever? They're like, no, this is like more on American style barbecue. I was like, all right, well, I guess I can help you out with that. And as we started going, they said, do you make your own sauce? And I was like, yeah, I do. They're like, do you mind if we try it? I was like, sure, I'll bring some in. So the next day I brought some barbecue sauce in. They tried it and they were like, well, we'd like to use this in our restaurant. I was like, well, that sounds pretty cool. How does that work? They were like, you make it and we buy it from you. All right, cool. So we started that process and it started going. I was doing about 20 gallons a week for them. And I was like feeling pretty good about it. This is pretty cool, and then all of a sudden, at that time frame, I'd started an Instagram page, to kind of more to promote their business, but I did start one called Blazing Star BBQ, cause I'd already had a name for my sauce or whatever that I had thought about years before, but never for selling it, just called it that. Right. And, anyways, COVID hit and everything shut down like crazy. And for them, it was even worse because they were just a new restaurant. So they didn't have a big client base built up or whatever. Anyways, things went south for them and they did eventually recover, but they couldn't afford. They had to start cutting costs and stuff like that. I had enough feedback, so I started rolling on social media with my sauces. COVID actually kind of helped because everybody was at home cooking, willing to experiment. And then, I just kind of built from there, jumped on TikTok later in the year. I figured out that, well, people like my sauces. Maybe they'll like my seasonings. I came out with my seasonings. Turned out the seasonings did even better than the sauces. And, now we've been rolling around the country cooking with different people, getting to go to cool events like the Rub and Tug Invitational. And, we're about to get into some bigger retail, Bass Pro, Home Depot's on the horizon.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, so talk about your rubs a little bit, man. I know you got the Reaper rub, you got an all-purpose, right? Like how big is the line right now?
So we have 5 lines. We have an all-in-one seasoning, a beef rub, and a pork and rub. Those are our first 3 rubs that we kind of came out with. They did win it really well. And then I came out with a Reaper rub. No one would buy it at first because of the name, but then eventually a couple creators used it and posted about it, raved about it, and it just kind of blew up and took off. That is still our number 1 selling product, our Reaper rub. But we still had pepperheads that wanted more heat. So we went back to the lab and we created the Scorpion rub. Even though the Scorpion pepper is not quite as hot as the Reaper pepper, we made that rub hotter than the Reaper rub, and then just added a lot more intense flavors to that seasoning.
So that's why people at first were scared of the Reaper rub. They thought it was going to be too hot.
Yeah, the name, just scared people away. They think when they hear Reaper, they think one chip challenge or you're going to burn their face off. And that wasn't my goal of the seasoning. My goal was to give you that perfect sweet heat balance. And I think I did a really good job of it. Most seasonings on the market, they started dabbling in peppers, but most of them just do a heavy cayenne pepper for their heat. I wanted to try to give you a perfect balance with that Reaper pepper. I'd already had it in my spicy sauce, so I knew I could get away with it. I didn't call my spicy sauce Reaper sauce for that same reason, is because I didn't want to scare people away, but my spicy sauce has Carolina Reaper in it. So I had already kind of figured out how to tame the pepper and give you a balance. And so I just kind of, moved that same process and philosophy over when I made the Reaper rub seasoning.
So you got the 5 rubs and you got some sauces in there.
Yeah, I have 3 sauces. I have an original barbecue sauce, which is what I started the company with. I have a spicy barbecue sauce, and then I have my most popular sauce is actually my Asian bang sauce. I waited on that. Something about a white guy coming out with an Asian sauce. Matter of fact, I don't know if you know Brad Orson from the Shed Barbecue.
Of course, yeah.
So he was my co-packer for the first couple of years when I was coming out with everything. And I sent him the Asian bang sauce in a mason jar. And he was like, first thing he did is mess with me. He's like, man, you did it again. He said, this thing is absolutely killer. He's like, but you got to change the name. I said, what do you mean? He said, it's cancel culture. He said, you're going to get canceled with that name. I'm like, bro, I said, look, first of all, I was in the military for 21 years. I traveled all over Asia. I'm immersed in the Asian culture. My wife's Filipino. I used to own an Asian market. I was like, I'm going to call it Asian Bang. He goes, stick to that story.
All right. I don't even have a witty comeback for that. I'm just enjoying the concept. All right, that's great, man. So what's the Vegas barbecue scene like? Is there some good barbecue around there? You mentioned trying to make Pahrump a barbecue town. Like what?
Yeah, there's some. I mean, a lot of them are outside influences. The biggest thing now across the country is Texas barbecue, right? You see a lot of Texas barbecue joints popping up all over the country, and Vegas is one of those. But there's a couple barbecue joints that are, decent. You know how us barbecue people that cook it at our home, we're very picky when it comes to it. And, you have to do a lot more to kind of impress us. But yeah, it's coming along. There's some decent competition teams in the local area that have done really well across the country, too. So it's going just like the West Coast in general. There's not as many big events and stuff going on in the barbecue, but it is picking up.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's plenty of restaurants in Vegas proper that are like, Guy Fieri's, Flavor Town,
right.
Rib.
Well, matter of
finger
fact,
licking rib, blue. But
Michael Simon has one at the Palms, I think it is. He's got his Maybell, I think. He's got one. Of course, Bobby Flay, I think he just opened up something new. I'm not sure if it's barbecue related or not, but yeah, Vegas, they're going to everybody and their brothers got their spot out in Vegas.
Yeah, no doubt. It doesn't mean that it can't be good, but it's just a difference between a place being corporate and a place being, authentic.
Exactly.
So Blazing Star BBQ, I'm guessing that came from your name.
That's correct. I mean, let's say I created my products in the blazing heat of Nevada. And my last name's Starr. Of course, I spell it with one R versus my last name being two R's, more for SEO purposes.
Yeah.
You don't want to confuse people. So Blazing Star BBQ.
No, I think that's smart. And have you done much competition? You're talking about traveling around doing a lot of cooking with people, but have you done many competitions like the one we were at?
So it's funny. I've listened to several of your podcasts, and I think over the last year, me and you have just missed each other.
Oh, yeah.
Meaning we were in the same places. So I've been to Memphis in May several years with the Shed Barbecue team, the American Royal. So I've been around the big competition scene. I've been around some of the normal. I've done SCA steak competitions.
Oh, yeah.
I just started doing those this year. I did probably 3 or 4 now this year myself. I'm looking to get into it more, not because that's my target audience. My target audience is the 75 million people at home cooking, but the competition world, there's a lot of great networking going on, so it's a good way to get out there and immerse yourself in the industry.
Yeah, I've had Brett on the podcast before, man. I definitely want to get into the SEA world. I think it'd be awesome content, really fun. I think it would be neat, something I'd really like. And even if I don't get in it to cook all the time, they have so many events like every weekend, and I'm always on the road somewhere. So I'm like, if I could get into judging or something, Yeah, you don't have to bring a 10,000 gallon smoker with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I know people that have showed up on a motorcycle and popped up and cooked a steak.
So, win a trophy, and
then you can't
take
beat
off.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I need to follow up with that. I need to hit him up and figure out how I can get involved with that and try to get creative with it. So yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, you touched on this a little bit, but the pandemic really kind of opened a lot of people's eyes to this, especially. But it's just so funny that all of us are hanging out, and most of us are like, dudes in our 40s, not who you would picture as like social media personalities. Yeah, it's really become a staple of this business and giving people the opportunity to be a part of this world and to be in this business.
Yeah, me and Al Fragoni talk about it all the time. We talk about how like me and him cross paths on TikTok, and now we do so much together. Mm-hmm. It's a crazy world, but the pandemic, social media has been around, but not like it is now, especially in the food content, barbecue content creator world. It's a whole another level. I mean, I have friends that have gotten into, just as a content creator, quit their jobs or their full-time jobs, and now being a full-time content creator is their full-time job, and they're making way more money than they ever imagined.
Yeah, that's the part I can't figure out.
I'm still trying to figure it out. I know me being a brand holds me back on some of this stuff. I mean, I've had, I am working with more and more businesses now, businesses that are starting to realize that my brand and myself are an influencer too.
Yeah.
And not just a brand. but it's definitely a tricky part, and it's nice when you can get paid to make your own content, and then actually use it to your advantage, because now you're promoting your own products through other businesses, you know, because they're boosting out your content. So it's a win-win, and it's what's really helped me, especially with my business, really kind of take off and get it, you know, to the point where retailers are reaching out, and bigger retailers are reaching out and wanting to carry my products.
Yeah, that's the truth, man. It's not just about like getting paid for the clicks. It's about getting your brand out there, seeing the marketing side of it. Basically, what's happening right now is if you own your own company, which we do, right? You make your own commercials. You don't have to hire a production company to then make a commercial for you and shoot some cheesy some car commercial and put it up there. And then also is basically this is the new TV. So instead of people watching TV shows, they sit and scroll TikTok and watch food videos for 30 minutes, you know? So I gotta tell you, I kick myself all the time, because before and during the pandemic, everyone was making these long form YouTube videos. And I'll go even further back to when I first started cooking. I was watching a lot of YouTube. When I first started getting into barbecue, I was watching a ton of YouTube, right? And I kept saying, like, man, these are great. I've watched them all. I go, but I want a shorter one where I could just get the brass tacks of it. I just want to know. I just want to be reminded. What temp do I do? When do I pull? You know, what are the steps if I throw butter or spritz it or whatever? I just needed a little Cliff Notes version. And I'm like, I always said I was going to do that. I'm like, I'm going to do 1 minute videos, instructional videos. And I never did it. And then you blink and it's like, that's all everybody does is now. And now I'm like, well, now I'm just chasing everyone else if I start doing it, you know? But I was like, man.
The long form is still there.
Of course.
And it's trying to make its comeback too. You know, it's crazy. Even TikTok is trying to push long form, you know, now too, even though the short form is what made them, right? But once again, just like anything, it's all about evolving, right? You know, you got to constantly, people ask me all the time, like, which one should I get involved in? All of them, you know, at the end of the day, you've got to try your hand at every single one of them. You know, if you want to get out of your backyard with your business, and I don't care what business you're doing, if you're looking to get out of your backyard, you've got to immerse yourself into social media and figure out a way to navigate. I don't care how old you are. I mean, I'm 47. I know you're right there in about the same boat with me. You know, we ain't getting any younger, and we got to figure it out if we want to be successful in this.
Oh, we're the future, Mike.
Right.
We're just trying to figure out what we want to do when we grow up.
That's exactly it. Hey, I'm living the dream right now. So as long as I can sustain what I'm doing right now, I call me content.
I'll tell, 100%, man. I've been doing comedy for over 20 years now. It's my, it's a dream come true that I get to make a living doing comedy. I absolutely love comedy. It's my biggest passion. And I'll tell you, one of the funnest things that's ever happened to me in my comedy career is barbecue. The fact that I stumbled into a passion for this barbecue and people have come along for the ride as I've learned and grown in the barbecue world, and the friendships I've made in the barbecue world and then root for me 100%. To do well in the comedy world is just, it's made it feels like I have my own team, you know? It's like comedy is such a lonely thing where you're trying to build a fan base, you know? And there's everybody's funny. So what makes you different than the other person? And barbecue's been a real connection. And that's why I love selling my rub too. I don't know if you experience this a little bit too in your own way, but like over the years, I've sold t-shirts, I've sold albums, I've sold, koozies. Like I've had all kinds of different merch I sell after my comedy show because people always want a souvenir and it's a way to make a little extra money. But selling my rub has been the most fun because then when people go home and they cook with it, they tag me. And then when they come back to see me again, when I come to town, they're like, oh, I'm out of rub. I need a refill. And I just did a brisket. And it's just such a cool connection point with people who are fans who then become friends.
I couldn't agree anymore, man. I mean, it's one of those things I never imagined, first of all, period, that anybody would ever be grabbing my product and using it. Now to see people, I tell people all the time, like, they're like, hey, I appreciate your support. When I post about, your product, I'm like, no, I appreciate your support.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get it. Like, I want to put you out there just as much as you're putting me out there, because this is the coolest thing ever. You're cooking food for your family and friends using my products or using your products. And right there's no better form of like validation or form of like, that people enjoy what you're doing and what you're making than them actually sharing your products with their friends and family. And it's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, totally. You have any other trips planned? Anything else coming up?
So I do. I'm heading out to California. Speaking of changing the game, there's a group of people in the industry, content creators, that are launching a streaming service, a barbecue streaming service, and it's launching actually Wednesday. And I'm going out for the launch party up near Sacramento area the weekend of the 8th, 9th, and 10th. I'm doing a launch party up there for that. It's going to Embers TV. It's going to be pretty cool. So I'm excited to see what happens with that. I'm heading down to Orlando with our good friend Cosmos Q.
Yep.
I'm going to the trade show down there with him. He asked me to come down and help him out and then learn from him too. So that's a pretty cool opportunity, that Cosmos reached out to me to do that. And then after that, I'm heading to the American Royal at the end of the month. So I got a pretty busy month coming up in September.
Yeah, sounds like it, man. The Royal, I've been once, and I just went to pop in and check it out. We were there doing shows, and but I didn't really get to immerse myself. But the Royal, it seems like it's good times, to put the least. Yeah,
yeah, it's a fun event. It's a big event. I mean, you've got over 500 teams there, so it's pretty cool to have an open invitational, and then they have an invitational all the same weekend. So it's a pretty long week. It's a fun time. They have a separate area where they call it Pigapalooza, where they have about 8 or 9 teams that compete in a pig competition, a whole hog competition. But it's not like your whole hog at Memphis in May. It's where you try to be as creative as you can be on your cook. Still, the most memorable one is Stretch flying a pig on a zip line, a whole hog on a zip line. So,
whoa. They put
pigs can fly.
They put a pig on a zip line and sent it.
Yeah, bro. It was too cool. I've got a couple of videos out on that. It's pretty slick.
All right. Well, I think
it was about 150-pound hog on a zip line. Cooked, fully cooked.
I was going to say, was it cooked? Was it just falling apart as it went?
Yeah. Well, we were hoping. I mean, I was deep down. I was hoping like when it come down to the end that like
explode.
It would explode, or like the hams would fall out or something. You know what I mean? But it didn't. It looked cool. It held together. We helped out with the shed. I was with the shed barbecue team, and we actually prepped and cooked that hog for Stretch, and they sent it on a zip line.
Oh, I got to see the video of that. Make sure you send me that.
Sure.
Getting creative is I think to me what's fun about cooking. And when we were doing the rub and tug, like I was talking to Jody and to Roy, my teammates. And I was like, look, man, we're not going to go up against Heath Riles head to head in competition, traditional style. Nope. I go, we got to get a little creative here, right? So that's what we did, man. We did peanut butter and jelly ribs.
I was going to say, those were good, man. I tried those.
Those were a huge hit. And then we did a bunch of mango salsa with the salmon, and I used the Pilar rum to make a honey glaze on the top of it. And nice. I put a little cup of mango daiquiri in the corner for the judges of the box, right?
Nice.
Trying to bribe them a little bit there. Yeah.
Heck yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Dress up the box
Y'all
a little
did pretty
bit.
Good there.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man.
Good.
And then that ribeye, I knew everyone was gonna be making chimichurri. Al's got the best chimichurri on earth. I knew everyone was gonna be making that frigoni. So I made chimichurri sauce out of Publix sub dressing. Publix subs are real popular down there. So I used their public sub dressing to make my chimichurri, and then we dressed it up with some mushrooms and onions around the outside. And I found out after, they called our name to give us the, the runner up on 3 out of 4 of those categories. And then I found out later that the reason why we scored so high is because we actually won the blind taste test in those 3 categories. And for me, against my barbecue heroes, first time I've done a real competition like that, to get the blind taste test and the judges in 3 out of 4 categories, I'm like, I think I'm going to retire, Mike. I'm done. I'm just going to go party from now on at these things. I'll never do that well again, man. That was like insane.
I tell you what, as long as I get the invite back to that event every year, I'll take 15th place every year.
That's the truth. Totally. There were no winners or losers at that event. Like everyone's just having fun.
And you know what? The general consensus when I listened to it afterwards, you talk about the Heath Riles. Heath Riles was like, when the judging was over, he looked back at me. He goes, "Well, that was fun."
Yeah.
I was like, "I'm just glad I was here." He's like, "I don't care what place I finished." He's like, "This was too fun." And actually, I just talked to him the other day. We can't stop talking about it.
Yeah.
We're like, "Hey, can we go back? Let's go."
Yeah. Well, that was the whole atmosphere too, man. Is like, because they were they're kind of figuring the rules out as they went, and no one was like mad about it. No one was like, "Oh, we're here to win a trophy." I mean, obviously everyone wants to win, but it's not the purpose of being there. The purpose of being there is to raise money for the charity, have some fun with your friends, and do some cool shit together.
We definitely did that. We did every one of those things.
We rolled some cigars, and we
we did
a little drinking, did a little boating, and I can't wait to do it again next year, man, for sure.
Heck yeah, man.
Well, that's killer, Mike. Well, let me know, man, when you're out this way. I'll see you. If not sooner, I'll see you in Vegas in December, and then if you're in Southern California at all, let me know. And
we definitely need to link up.
100%, buddy. Well, tell people where they can buy your products and where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, for sure. So BlazingStarBBQ.com for my website. We're also on Amazon and at Blazing Star BBQ on all social media platforms.
Yeah, make sure that you get your Asian bangs. I'm trying to think of a commercial for you for the Asian bang. I think it just sells itself. Yeah. Buy Asian bang, everybody.
Right. We'll have to tie it in somehow with a rub and tug next year.
There it is. That makes a lot of sense. All right. I appreciate you, bud.
I appreciate it, Dave. Thanks for the opportunity.
You got it.